So get ready to unlock the magic of your sewing machine. In this lesson, you'll get to know all the different parts of your sewing machine and discover what those buttons, dials and switches actually do. No more guessing or feeling unsure. This is your chance to turn confusion into confidence as everything starts to make sense. Once you understand how each part works, you'll feel so much more in control and ready to sew with ease. Think of this as getting to know your creative partner inside and out, because the better you know your machine, the more amazing things you'll be able to create together. So let's go into more detail about what the threading section entails. Here is your spool pin. That's where your spool of thread sits on your machine, just like so. Then there's the thread guide, which is for stitching is just here. You've got your thread goes down through here and across, and you've got this thread guide to guide it through. So this thread guide is for when you're loading up your bobbin, which sits over here. As you can see, I've got a little, oops, it's stuck. Oh my goodness. I've got a bobbin here which needs filling. So we'll get to that in a later lesson. But that's where your bobbin gets threaded through. So the next thing is your stitch selector. As you can see here, you've got stitches A through to G. And to select the stitch, if I'm going to do a straight stitch, I select A at this that's the point there where it needs to line up. So at the moment I'm on stitch A, then these are my buttonhole stitches, and these are all the other stitches that this machine offers. For a basic machine, you really only need straight stitch and a couple of zigzags, and then also a buttonholer. We'll be dealing with buttonholes in one of the lessons when we make a cushion cover, and I'll show you how to do that on both a mechanical machine and on an automated machine. So that's your stitch selector. And then we've got your length selector. I have this for a straight stitch on about 2.5 or 2, depending on the fabric. And then for much smaller stitches and also for doing your buttonholes, you have it closer to 0, which is like that. Then there's one more thing I need to show you, and that's the tension dial. The tension is how tight or loose your thread is through the machine. And a standard sort of setting is around about 5, which is it's on at the moment. Keep it on around 4 or 5 for most regular stitching. Now I just wanted to show you a couple more things before we move on to the needle and sewing area. This here is a lever that allows you to do back stitching. Back stitching is really important to reinforce your work, and I'll show you how to do that in your straight stitching lesson. Just for now, you push the lever down and that sends your stitches backwards. And then when you lift it up again, your stitches go forwards. Then there's this really important dial here. This is your control of the sewing machine going up and down. This is the manual control. So when I tighten it towards you, you can see that here the needle is going up and down. You should never turn the dial away from you because that will stuff up your stitches in a really bad way. So always turning this dial towards yourself. And then of course we have the on-off button, which turns on the light on and off. You'll notice that you have a little light that helps to light up your work when you're working. And then of course here we've got where the lead goes into the machine to power it on. So next I'm going to show you the needle area. So this is where the needle goes up and down. This here unscrews so that I can change my needle. At the back there's a little lever that drops the presser foot. This is the presser foot. You can get all different types of presser feet depending on what you're actually doing. So you can get special ones for zippers, special ones for buttons, and special ones for doing zigzag stitch. But this one is suitable for everyday stitching. And under here you've got these little raised, rough textured pieces. These are called the feed dogs. They help the machine stick to the fabric and push the fabric through as you're stitching. This area here is your throat plate. And on the throat plate, you'll see that there are some markings. These markings give you your width of your seam allowance. So if you want a seam allowance of 1.5 centimeters, you would line it up with this ridge here. And then up here we have a lever, which pulls the presser foot down or pulls the presser foot up. So you do that at the beginning and ending of your stitches. Obviously when you're stitching, you have it down so that it presses the fabric to the feed dogs. And then when you're not stitching, you put it up and you can release your work. And then this slides off, and under here, as I showed you before, we have what's called the bobbin case. Now the bobbin case comes out, it pulls out like that, like so, and you put your bobbin inside there and pull the thread through here and push it back in. Now I'll go through that in more detail in the next lesson. But just remember for now that that's your bobbin case. The bobbin is essentially the bottom thread. This bottom thread comes up through the machine, out through a hole in the throat plate, and interacts with the thread that's in your needle to make a stitch. Threading your bobbin correctly is really important. 99% of all the problems I have are generally with how the bobbin is thread. Sometimes if you're having issues, you take out your bobbin and rethread the bobbin. It will fix the problem. This is a bobbin without any thread, and this here is a bobbin that's full of thread. That's just showing you what they look like. And then last but not least, this is your foot pedal. This lives under the sewing machine, and you press the foot pedal to make the sewing machine work. It's a little bit like driving a car. You press it down to operate the machine and up to stop the machine from working.